Meeting the Needs of the Rosa Parks STEAM Students by Danya Harding for Education 528, University of San Diego. Science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics, or STEAM, are disciplines in which special populations are underrepresented. These special populations include females, blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, some Asians, ELLs, and people with low socioeconomic status. Among these populations, blacks, Latinos, and non-white women are at the highest risk of being STEAM deficient. While it is important that all students be made privy to a STEAM curriculum, we must focus on these special populations because members of these groups remain grossly underrepresented in career fields that require strong foundations in math and the hard sciences because they do not fare well in these classes and are labeled as low achievers. According to Howard, countless numbers of students who are classified as low achievers by traditional standards are often some of the most talented, intellectually gifted, creative, and critical thinkers. The manner in which schools are structured frequently inhibits the students' ability to express these skills and show their intellectual prowess. In order to ensure a better STEAM education for all, we must make attempts to determine what causes those in special populations to fall short of meeting the standards in STEAM courses. Rosa Parks K-8 is located in Meadowview, one of the most violent and poor neighborhoods in Sacramento. The area is notorious for heavy gang and drug activity. All students receive free breakfast and lunch. All students have science and math classes. However, most 8th grade students are failing or struggling in math and or science. There is also no official STEAM program in place. All of our students in some way are part of a special STEAM population. My sample includes 84 8th grade students, 40 boys and 44 girls. 30 of the students are ELLs who have not been redesignated. Their racial or ethnic backgrounds and numbers are as follows: 34 Mexican students, 24 African American students, 18 Hmong students, 2 Tongan students, 2 Vietnamese students, 1 Chinese student, 1 Colombian student, 1 Filipino student, and 1 Russian student. This sample is representative of the overall student population. Benchmark scores for the sample reveal that 96% of the students failed to meet the ELA standards and 97% of the students failed to meet the math standards. There is no benchmark test data for science. In order to better assess the STEAM needs for the students, I compiled and analyzed the current ELA math and science grades for each student. Quarter 3 progress reports indicated that 21 students had D or F grades in ELA, 14 students had D or F grades in math, and 44 students had D or F grades in science. Conversely, 16 students had A's in ELA, 32 students had A's in math, and 19 had A's in science. Furthermore, 34 of the 84 students posted their lowest grades in science, while only 8% posted their lowest grades in math. The best performing student groups in math and science were Mexican girls, Hmong boys, and African American girls. Of the 51 A's earned in these two subjects, 12 were earned by Mexican girls, 8 were earned by Hmong boys, and 8 were earned by African American girls. The group with the worst performance was African American boys. There was only 1 A. It was earned in math. It must also be noted that the one Chinese female student is an ELL who speaks Mandarin, has no one at our school to translate for her, and yet she is a straight A student. I conducted a survey in an attempt to ascertain students' feelings towards math and science and to determine whether or not the students had interests in pursuing STEAM-related careers. A sample of that survey is shown here. The survey revealed that 82% of the students liked math and 66% of the students liked science. While the majority of students indicated that they liked both math and science, 53% of the boys and a mere 35% of the girls expressed interest in STEAM-based careers. Lack of interest is not the issue with my students' poor STEAM performance. It would appear that pedagogy and lack of support for our students may be the culprits. Students in special populations have difficulty doing science. Cuevas and Lee et al. Suggest that teachers must first give students the skill set necessary for scientific inquiry. The authors point out that for the students in the study as a whole, their ability to ask appropriate questions as a starting point for science inquiry increased after the intervention. In other words, the students do not lack interest in science, they lack the experience and knowledge of what science inquiry involves. Once students are taught, they will be able to perform successfully. In order to ensure success, educators must be willing to adjust. According to August Branham Martin et al., teacher scaffolding and drawings may be needed for support. Alterations must be made to accommodate the needs of the students. Too often, teachers stick to their script and forget that improvisation may be the best for its students. Once more, teachers cannot expect to reach students if the curriculum and environment do not reflect the students' needs. The academic environment and school culture must embrace the students' backgrounds. However, Clarkston and Johnston remind us that while it is important to have a strong school culture, it is equally important to have an academic focus. It is therefore incumbent upon the teacher to make sure that there is a balance between cultural reflection and standards-based curricula. Culture is only part of the solution. According to the authors, communities of practice must be formed to assist teachers with learning techniques and strategies that will appeal to the cultural norms and realities of the students. Finally, teachers must work together to form cohesive academic content which allows students to learn and apply concepts through cross-curricular processes. In their study, Sampson, Ederle et al. Demonstrated how students increase their science content knowledge and writing skills by participating in a series of science laboratories that required students to write argumentative, evidence-based research papers. By including an ELA component in science classes, the students were able to develop skills applicable to both content areas. My review of the applicable literature, my analysis of student data, and my collaboration with my peers have helped me to determine my plan of action for meeting the needs of my students. My action research plan will require my obtaining my students' math and science test scores and then meeting with the teachers weekly to review lesson plans and determine if and how we can integrate material from each other's classes into our own. For example, I can have students read math or science-related articles and have them analyze the texts. This activity would help my students to learn and retain information for their STEAM classes while meeting the required ELA standards for informational text. I will also use Sedai techniques to help my students remember key math and science concepts. I will also help my colleagues to design math and science activities that are culturally relevant but also exemplify the concepts that they are trying to teach in meaningful ways. After the initial 3-lesson rotation and assessments, I will then meet with my colleagues to compare student test scores before and after the interventions. We will evaluate the data and make any necessary adjustments before repeating the cycle again. I will also submit a student questionnaire to determine whether or not students feel that the interventions are working and then determine what the next steps should be. Thank you.